Business of affordable electric mobility. A West African assembly firm in that space, Spiro, has raised $63 million in debt from Société Générale, with guarantees on that facility being provided by the London-based company Garantco. Now, the facility has an interest rate of roughly 9% and it's being provided in CFA francs. It effectively negates any FX risk for the firm, which has operations in Togo, Benin and Rwanda at the moment. Spiro has also raised over $60 million from its existing shareholders. The firm is building motorcycle assembly and battery plants in Togo and Benin, which will open in the first quarter of 2024. But the bulk of the debt financing will be used to scale up the number of battery-powered motorcycles on the road. Now, some hours ago, I spoke to the company's CEO. I started that conversation with Jules Semar by asking him, how exactly do you make battery-powered motorcycles cost competitive against their numerous petrol-powered cousins?
It's not an easy market to get into, I understand, because it's a new activity, it's a new type of equipment for people. Even those riding the bike, even if the bike was cheap, you need a lot of time to convince them to be able to buy the bikes. But when you look at the volume that we put on the market in Togo and Benin, you understand that it's possible. It's not more than 15 months that we started business in Togo and Benin, and today we have 10,000 bikes on the road. 10,000 bikes on the road, 2.5 million swap that we've done since we started this operation. So it just shows that something is possible. It's just to make sure that you provide a product fit for the market and people are interested. Of course, the EV bike compared to ICE bike, there's always a difference in price. The price is high. But when you sell the bike to people, you're not selling the batteries and the charger, because if you have to sell the battery and the charger, it's going to be complicated for them to buy because the cost is going to be far above of what they are paying from the ICE bike. That's why we decided to have a bike business and the swap station business, which is like buying a bike and have to go to the petrol station and charge and put the petrol in your bike. So in this case, you buy the bike from Spiro, you swap your batteries through our swap stations.
Let's talk about expansion plans. Togo, Benin, I believe Rwanda is also part of your operational plans at the moment. But where does Spiro go from here? What sort of countries are you looking at in terms of expansion?
I don't know. First, okay. Togo, Benin, we launched in Rwanda. As of today, we have 300 bikes on the road in Rwanda. And our next step is going to be Kenya. We are planning to launch in Kenya in September. And then we'll go to Uganda to launch in Uganda by October, right? So we have those two countries that we're looking at. But there are also some countries in East Africa, Central Africa, that we're also trying to see how we can get into. Nigeria is not excluded because Nigeria for us is a big market. It's a market that we need to go. So that's the plan that we have at the moment.
Actually, just tell us about Nigeria, because I mean, given the size of the country, and of course it's within the West African orbit, some might look at your operational footprint and say, well, jumping into Nigeria might be the next logical move, rather than coming to East Africa. So where's Nigeria in the expansion plan?
Nigeria is in an expansion plan for the reason that you just said. I think the market is big. And we have a lot of two-wheelers in Nigeria. Therefore, if you want to increase your portfolio exponentially, you need to go into a country like Nigeria. But what I want to mention here is that rest assured that in Kenya, you have 2 million boda, right? 2 million ICE bikes there. So that is the potential for EV in the market, 2 million, right? You need to replace those 2 million, especially when the country want to phase out the ICE bikes. That's why we think that is a place for us to go. Nigeria is an interesting market because recently the government removed the fuel subsidies. Removing the fuel subsidy means that the fuel cost is higher. And if you bring the EV bike and you get a better tariff in terms of electricity, you should be able to afford 15%, 20% additional revenue to the Okada, the motorbike taxi driver.
Will you be able to meet those numbers given the perennial power problems we hear about from Nigeria with power from the grid? When it does come, it's problematic. It's not exactly the current that you need. It essentially suggests that your swap stations would have to be, at best, almost wholly reliant power stations unto themselves with a combination of solar and generation capacity on site.
Look, I think the power is not the issue of power is not only in Nigeria. The issue of power is all over Africa, right? So what we need to do is to make sure that we find a good solution. If we think that the market is big enough for us, and we have an issue of power, we can find a solution for the power. And one of the solutions for the power will be to power our swap station by EV, by solar panel, which is something that is possible. There's a lot of solution out there for such activity, and then I think we will be happy to look at this kind of solution. But we believe that Nigeria is the best way to do this. It's the best country where we can increase our portfolio dramatically.